Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Martinez with Martinez Art Lab. The project we're going to be working on today is an eraser print. So we're going to make a print with an eraser. We'll need a pencil, markers, washable markers preferably, and a gum eraser. In this case, it's Saks brand, and I've already cut it in half because we don't need to use the whole eraser. So I've got my eraser, and I'm going to, you don't have to, but I'm going to flip it to the back. The text on the front really makes no difference. It's just easier to see my pattern. You're going to start with a pretty sharp pencil, a sharpened pencil, and draw very lightly a very simple design. It's gonna be hard to kind of see my design. It's in pencil, it's pretty light, but I'm just drawing two simple lines in a circle. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over them with my pencil, and every line I make is going to dig out a little bit of eraser. So I'm carving the lines that I've just made. I need to go slow so I don't crack my eraser. All right, and as I'm finishing this up, I'm going to just, again, you can see me kind of putting my eraser to the side and knocking off the extra eraser crumbs so I can clear out my eraser that I'm making. So I'm going to make sure this is carved really well. After I've got it carved really well, and I can take my finger and go over the top of my eraser and I can feel the indents, I know that I've carved this enough. So now I'm just touching the top, making sure that I've, got my carving deep enough in my gum eraser. If I accidentally crack my eraser, which is easy to do, I can use a paper clip to stick the pieces of my eraser together, and I still have an eraser print, an eraser stamp, and I won't be wasting any erasers. So I think this is deep enough. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. And now I'm going to go ahead and get started with my Crayola markers. For this step, you can use an ink pad. You can use paint, but I find it to be the cheapest and the quickest to use washable markers. I always have an art rag around. The colors that I'm going to do, and I always have a spray bottle around to make sure I can keep my area clean and I can wash my stamp in between. I'm going to use my marker just to draw right on top of my eraser. Right now I'm going to show you using two colors, so that way you can see an example of how I can get creative with this project. I can make this project take as long or be as detailed or as simple as I want it to be. So I've used purple and pink, and I'm just going to flip it and use it as a stamp right on my paper. Once I press my stamp down, my stamp is down, so there's no changing that. So you want to be careful where you place your stamp. Just a light pressure, and now I've got my first stamp. So right now I'm just going to experiment with color. I can turn my very simple design around and make different positions and different patterns throughout my paper. Right now I did a first stamp and a second stamp, so you could see that second stamp turned out really light. I really want to add my marker, make one stamp per every time I add my marker. I can absolutely wash my stamp between every spot, but you're going to see me show you just a couple different methods and what happens when you wash your stamp, what happens if you don't wash your stamp, what happens if you use two colors, what happens if you use one color. I love using this project as a way to fill up my paper with a really cool stamped background full of pattern and color, and then kind of collaging on top or adding something on top. I've had plenty of students in the past do this project and add portraits on top. You can use this stamp in a zillion different ways, but it's a great tool to use in the classroom. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video so we can watch through the end, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments.